If you don't know, Fu Xuan will have a rerun in a few days, and if you're wondering how is Fu Xuan's performance and what's the difference between her and Aventurine, what's special about Fu Xuan and what's special about Aventurine, which Fu Xuan doesn't have, and vice versa. Hopefully this video will help you know the answers to your questions. First thing, let's focus on Fu Xuan. As for how she sustains the team, her skill reduces the damage taken by the whole team. Plus, she increases the whole team's HP. Plus, she buffs them a little bit by giving the whole team a 12% crit rate, which will help your damage deal, which will help basically your DPS units. She also has a little bit of healing, but her healing isn't great. As you can see, it is based on her ultimate. It is based on her HP. It breaks every single time she uses her ultimate. And she has a little bit of energy regeneration in her kit, makes her gain additional energy if she uses her skill while her skill is already active. And that's good because if you see her ultimate, it costs a lot of energy, 135, which is a lot. One of her traces makes her skill have another function, which is basically make the whole team immune to crowd control debuffs. And when she first came out, this effect was considered broken, and till this day it is considered somewhat broken, but in terms of this department, the whole effect resistance, Aventurine is definitely better than Fu Xuan. As for why, you will see later in this video. And thankfully, she has a lot of healing for herself when her HP falls below 50%, so it makes it hard for her to get one shot. But if she is built poorly, she can get one shot. I'm glad this is here to make her survive longer in case of tougher fights like Simulated Universe, Swarm Disaster 5, or similar future game modes in the highest difficulty. So basically for Fu Xuan, as long as her skill is active, your team will be harder to kill basically. Also something about her skill, notice that it says for 3 turns. So basically after Fu Xuan has 3 turns in which she didn't use her skill, this effect will disappear. And for that reason, as you can see, my Fu Xuan is very slow. She only has 100 speed. I have seen a lot of content creators say that for Fu Xuan you build her fast, but for me personally, I built her slow because, like I said, her roar of sustain depends on her skill, which depends on how many turns she has, which depends on her speed. So slower Fu Xuan will mean you will have to use her skill less, which to be honest, it might be a bad thing because of this one. Like if you use her skill less, then this effect won't have this trace activated as much, which means your team will have a high chance of getting CC'd basically. I sacrifice the speed for defense, HP, and damage reduction. The speed is low, but like this Fu Xuan, she is a tank in terms of sustain and speed. She is slow, but let's say in harder content, MOC basically, or let's say in case of MOC in which there are units which hit hard, or Simulated Universe, Swarm Disaster difficulty 5 or higher difficulties, basically she has a higher chance of surviving because let's say if you focus on speed and if you replace HP and defense with speed, she becomes less tankier. And that might result in her getting one shot, especially against bosses who do a lot high damage AoE attacks. As for relics, its effect resistance, 2 piece reduced damage taken, and 2 piece increase max HP. As you can see, I focused on her survivability, not her speed. I can make her fast, but the issue is her HP and defense will be lower. Also, the light cone, this basically increases her defense and it makes the whole team receive even less damage from enemies. So basically, on top of Fu Xuan's skill and talent, this light cone will reduce the damage taken by your teammates. So this light cone with her is, I won't say it is the best light cone on her, but it works very good on her. Since I built her, I have never taken her out of my team. So that's how I built her, slow but tanky. For her being slow, she doesn't consume a lot of skill points because I only use her skill 1 time per 3 turns. Because like I said, I built her tanky, she can withstand all types of damage. I forgot to choose the main stats. Basically, it's all HP or HP defense. That's it. Actually, all of them are HP. Yeah, all of them are HP. There's no defense. And as you can see, the substats are mainly defense. Yeah, they are mainly defense, effect resistance, or HP. No speed at all. Depending on how you want to build her, slow and tanky, or fast and less tanky. But even if you build her fast, she is still tanky. But of course, she won't be as tanky as slow. To be honest, depending on your substats, because let's say instead of break effect, it could have been speed. Instead of break effect, it could have been speed. So she could have been faster. But relic RNG, what are we going to do about it? Whatever you get in terms of relic stats, main stats, and substats, whatever the best you got. It is what we are going to use at the end of the day, basically. So depending on the relics, like the best main stats or the best substats for her, use it on her. Like Fu Xuan works absolutely fine as a sustainer. The only downside to her that I have faced at least is basically with whole effect resistance, because like I said, she is slow, so I don't use her skill as much, which means this effect is not triggered as much. So that means she and the team can get CC'd, and I will show you that in a second. Also for the light cone, I know about Herta's sub light. This is the one I'm talking about. This light cone reduces the damage taken only by Fu Xuan, not the whole team. The same thing for Z-Bar's light cone, increases worse defense and effective rate, which is useless on Fu Xuan. When the warrior is attacked, increases defense by extra 25%, 24%, I mean. As for the light cone on her, like I mentioned, it reduces the damage taken by the whole team by 8%, and that is at Super Impose 1, I think Super Impose 1, yeah, Super Imposition 1, increases all type resistance of all allies. So this basically not only it benefits Fu Xuan, but benefits the whole team. That's why I'm using it, and so far it worked great. Now for Aventurine. To be honest with you, at first I didn't want to summon on Aventurine because I had Fu Xuan, but to be honest, in memory of chaos, in one team I was using Fu Xuan, as the other team I was using Lynx, E6 Lynx. Where is she? E6 Lynx works great, but like Aventurine is definitely way better than her. Even if you have Fu Xuan, I would recommend you to get Aventurine. Unless maybe you have Luotsa or Hua or any healer sustainers, basically. I don't have Hua or Luotsa or any 5-star healers, so that's why I summoned on him. He's different than Fu Xuan, but in my opinion, the best things about him is this talent over here. As you can see, for any single ally was fortified weather, which is in effect is applied to teammates if Aventurine uses his skill. This talent, it doesn't provide allies with fortified weather, so only. So allies can get the fortified weather status from his skill only. For any single ally with fortified weather, their effect resistance increased by 50%, a whole 50%. As long as any ally has the fortified weather effect, their effect resistance increases by 50%. It's permanent. It doesn't go away like Fu Xuan's effect resistance. Also for Aventurine, if he has fortified weather, he can straight out resist crowd control debuffs, and this effect can trigger again after 2 turns. If you have your Aventurine built with high speed, like this won't, or shall I say, this won't make much of a difference, or will make less of a difference if you have a fast Aventurine. Also, if you have Aventurine on the team, whenever a build starts, whether you use his technique or not, every single ally has a shield. From the get-go, basically, which is nice. And of course, a little bit of damage, the higher defense above 1600, his crit rate increases. To be honest, for Aventurine, I only focus on his sustain role, not the damage dealing role, basically. Because I summoned for him to sustain. Of course, damage can be like his damage isn't the greatest, but it still can be useful to like for finishing up mobs, or shall I say a boss has 2000 HP left. If it's attacks before a cycle ends, kills the boss, basically. Like his damage is not great, but it still can be useful. And of course, like if you have units with follow-up attacks, that's more the reason for you to summon for Aventurine. Of course, his banner ended, but I'm like this video, I decided to compare between Fu Xuan and Aventurine because like both of them have their benefits. Personally, for me, I feel like Aventurine is better than Fu Xuan. Like personally for me, and that's coming from someone who used Fu Xuan way more than Aventurine. As for how Aventurine sustains the whole team, is also by his skill and his talent with aka his follow-up attacks. His skill is different from Fu Xuan's since his skill gives shields to allies instead of damage reduction. Also something to notice, like shields are the duration of a shield on an ally is dependent on how fast that ally is, because as you can see, the shield lasts for 3 turns, and that 3 turns is depending on each unit. So unlike Fu Xuan, if your team is fast, then their shield will expire fast. If your team is slow, then their shield will expire slow. So for Aventurine, as for how I built him, I didn't build him slow like Fu Xuan. Instead of I built him fast, because let's say you're using Sparkle or Bronya, and your DPS was Akron. So let's say you attack with Akron, you use Bronya again, you attack with Akron. That's 2 turns away. Only 1 turn left for Aventurine's shield to expire. So basically, you will need to use a skill again to apply a shield on Akron. For example, like for first units, you will have to use Aventurine's skill more often. So for him, I focused on speed and defense. Only these 2. As for the light component to frank with you, since I'm using Aventurine with Akron, I'm using this one. I forgot to talk about his ultimate. Basically, you know how Fu Xuan's skill provide a 12% crit rate to the whole team. Aventurine's ultimate provides 15% crit damage to one enemy for 2 turns. Sorry, for 3 turns. So Fu Xuan gives crit rate, and he gives crit damage to a certain enemy, not in general, basically. So he does have a little bit of support, not as much as Fu Xuan, but he still has a little bit of support. And this is considered a debuff, which will make Akron gain a stat. So if you're using Akron, then I would say Aventurine is 100% better for you than Fu Xuan, from experience. About the relics, to be honest, like the 4-piece set is this one because like his main sustain is via shield, and for the 4-piece, basically as you can see, it increases the max damage which can be absorbed by the shield created by Aventurine, which is huge. The 2-piece is a support set for whichever DPS unit is on the team, a bonus crit damage basically. For the main stats are defense and speed, because like I said, I want him to be faster so that if a unit's shield is about to run out, I can use his shield. I can use his skill to reapply the shield. Because if he's slow and the unit has run out of shield, I will have to depend on RNG so that the enemies don't attack that said unit, which is without a shield. So make him fast. So basically, I made him fast to be able to reapply his shield more often, if I need to, of course. Defense, and thankfully, there are speed substats in there. If my first one was less tankier, then I would have definitely said that he feels more relaxing to use. The only thing that you should worry about is if one of your unit's shields has run out. Then all you have to do is use Aventurine's skill, or wait until Aventurine launches his follow-up attack. Also, something nice about Aventurine, which I forgot to mention, or didn't focus on it. Every time he follow-up attacks, he gives a shield to the whole team, and he gives an additional shield to the teammates with the lowest shield. So let's say if you have a team full of follow-up attackers, or you are against enemies which do AoE attacks, then Aventurine will gain a lot of blind bit points, which will make him do a lot of follow-up attacks, which will make him give a lot of shields to allies without the need to use her skill. Which means if he does a lot of follow-up attacks, you won't have to use his skill, which means he will generate even more skill points for you. As for Xuan, once the 3 turns are over, you have to reuse her skill. For Aventurine, if he does a lot of follow-up attacks, you won't have to use his skill. I would say Aventurine is better than Fu Xuan.
entered the storm. To guard and defend, crush them! You'll pay for this. Lend me your strength.
Still waters of oblivion. I weep for the departed. It takes our fire.
Enemy data signet markers activate. Time for middle counterattack. Lend me your strength. A quick divination. Emerge and awaken.
Another journey begins.
Yin and yang. Ready for another? I see through you.
Again. Destined for oblivion.
There's always a weakness. Lend me your strength.
Still waters of oblivion.
Enemy data signet markers activate. Time for middle counterattack. We've entered the storm. To guard and defend, crush them.
I weep for the departed. It takes our fire.
All things human creations.
Our position is strong.
Yin and yang.
Free will, or was it fate? Destined for oblivion.
A quick divination. Enemy data secure net markers activate. Time for middle counterattack. This battle is lend me your strength. We've entered the storm. To guard and defend, crush them.
I weep for the departed. It takes our fire. Still waters of oblivion.
On my command. Take cover.
Enemy targets detected. You'll pay for this. Lend me your strength. Enemy data secure net markers activate. Time for middle counterattack.
Destined for oblivion. I weep for the departed. It takes our fire.
Came together. Converge and awaken. Human creations. Wincing so ready for another. Troublesome.
Distance is futile.
Still waters of oblivion.
Enemy targets detected. Enemy data secure net markers activate. Time for middle counterattack. This battle is unavoidable. Lend me your strength. We've entered the storm. To guard and defend, crush them.
Destined for oblivion.
Stay focused. Forward.
Enemy data signet net markers activate. Time for middle counterattack.
I weep for the departed. It takes our fire.
I wonder what that is. Infallible. Watch this.
What against the clouds?
Existence is unity. The game is on.
The center storm, heaven surge. Rise!
Every petal, all will be swept away by the wind. Suppress.
Awaken, dormant scale. World cleansing dragon.
We came together. Fury spiffy.
Heaven surge. Break!
Let's play. Can you find the answer?
Grace and elegance.
Equipped and together as one. Let's play for a while.
The strength. Heaven surge. Rise!
There's more to life. Eternal. Every petal, all will be swept away by the wind.
We will come.
Fury spiffy. Can you find the answer?
Awaken, dormant scales. World cleansing dragon. Heaven surge. Break!
All things in the human creation.
Some value.
No matter.
Suppress.
Not your best.
Feeling a little dizzy?
Heaven surge. Rise!
I see through you.
There's more to life.
Can you find the answer?
Every petal, all will be swept away by the wind.
Fury spiffy.
Awaken, dormant scales. World cleansing dragon. Heaven surge. Break!
Yin and yang.
We will come.
Stay away.
By the temple.
Grace and elegance. Eternal.
Heaven surge. Rise!
Zoning out.
I am
Ready? See you later. Do it. Something for everybody. Watch your feet.
Every petal, all will be swept away by the wind.
Can you find the answer?
Some value, I suppose.
Fury spiffy.
Bow to justice. By the temple. Not too fast. Feeling a little dizzy?
You sent a storm. Heaven surge. Break! Awaken, dormant scales. World cleansing dragon.
Yin and yang. All things in human creation. I'll go easy this.
Engage. Zoning out.
I am
Ready?
The strength.
Unscathed.
together as one. Let's play for a while. Can you find the answer?
Eternal. Every petal, all will be swept away by the wind.
Something for everybody.
Yin and yang.
Watch your feet.
Heaven's surge. Rise!
A quick divination.
Heaven's surge. Break! Awaken dormant scales. World cleansing dragon.
Yours, Bippy? Can you find the answer?
Heaven's surge. Rise!
Feeling lucky. Feeling lucky.
Show your courage.
Stream forth. Lean bold.
Do we still have the upper hand?
Hedge your bets.
Lend me your strength.
Still waters of oblivion. I weep for the departed. It too shall fall.
Enemy data secure. Net markers activated. Time for a good old counterattack.
Watch your head.
We've entered the storm. To guard and defend. Crush them.
The dice have been cast. Bust. Or maybe I'll take it all.
We have the upper hand. Lend me your strength.
Another journey begins. Destined for oblivion. I weep for the departed. It too shall fall. Familiar.
Ready for another?
Sure, I'll play along. It's on me.
This battle is unavoidable. Lend me your strength. We've entered the storm. To guard and defend. Crush them.
Free will, or was it fate? Hasten.
Enemy
We've
data
hardly
secure.
any
Net
time
markers
left to
activated.
save
Time for a
their
good old counterattack.
Still waters of oblivion.
Watch your head. The dice have been cast. Bust. Or maybe I'll take it all.
I weep for the departed. It too shall fall.
Enemy data secure. Net markers activated. Time for a good old counterattack. Ready for another?
Hedge your bets.
Our position is solid.
Lend me your strength.
Another journey begins. Destined for oblivion.
Commencing support.
On my command.
Enemy data secured. Net markers activated. Time for a good old counterattack. We've entered the storm. To guard and defend. Crush them.
Take cover.
Watch your head. The dice have been cast. Bust. Or maybe I'll take it off. It's on me.
Lend me your strength.
Free will, or was it fate? On the still waters of oblivion, I weep for the departed. It too shall fall.
We have the upper hand.
Sure, I'll play along.
You'll pay for this. Lend me your strength. We've entered the storm. To guard and defend. Crush them. Enemy data secure. Net markers activated. Time for a good old counterattack.
Destined for oblivion. I weep for the departed. It too shall fall.
Commencing support.
Our position is solid.
The dice have been bust. Or maybe I'll take it off. Watch your head.
This battle is unavoidable. Lend me your strength.
On the still waters of oblivion,
Enemy targets detected. Ready for another?
On my command. Perform.
Enemy data secure. Net markers activated. Time for a good old counterattack. We've entered the storm. To guard and defend. Crush them. Commencing support. Lend me your strength.
another journey begins. Destined for oblivion.
This ends here!
I weep for the departed. It too shall fall. I hit the mark.
Watch this.
What a heat the past
Eternal. The game is on.
The strength. Heaven's surge. Rise.
Every petal all will be swept away by the wind.
No dirty tricks. Spend freely.
I'll go easy this. You want to sit me? Can you find the answer?
Awaken dormant scales. Blood cleansing dragon. Heaven's surge.
Elegance.
Compounded damage. Hedge your bets. The dice have been cast. Bust. Or maybe I'll take it off.
Let's play.
Such a storm. Heaven's surge. Rise.
Existence is unity. Every petal all will be swept away by the wind.
Awaken dormant. Blood cleansing dragon. Heaven's surge. Quick.
Let's play. Can you find the answer?
Sure, I'll play along.
I'll go easy this time.
Eternal. Every petal in life's garden, all will be swept away by the wind.
Let's play for a while. You have 10 seconds. 10, 9, 1. You silly.
The skies have been cast. Bust. Or maybe I'll take it off.
Heaven's surge.
Some value, I suppose.
Can you find the answer?
Awaken dormant scale. World cleansing dragon.
Watch your head. I hit the mark.
Heaven's surge. Rise.
There's more to life.
Nothing fast. Feeling a little dizzy?
Heaven's surge.
I'll go easy this time. You silly.
Awaken dormant scale. World cleansing dragon.
Some value, I suppose. Eternal. Every petal, all will be swept away by the wind.
We sent a storm. Heaven's surge. Rise.
I hit the mark. It's on me.
Let's play. Can you find the answer?
The dice have been cast. Bust. Or maybe I'll take it off.
Let's play for a while.
The strength. Heaven's surge.
Spend freely.
Stay away. I'll go easy this time. Can you find the answer?
There's more to life. Every petal, all will be swept away by the wind.
We sent a storm. Heaven's surge. Rise.
Something for everybody.
Watch your head. Awaken dormant scale. World cleansing dragon.
Sure, I'll play along. The dice have been cast. Bust. Or maybe I'll take it off.
You silly.
The strength.
As you can see, this team was Aventurine has a different whole scenario instead of Fu Xuan. To be honest, it is probably because these two bosses are weak to imaginary, and also something I forgot about Aventurine, that his follow-up attacks and ultimate reduce toughness bar of enemies by a lot, especially if there is only one enemy, because his follow-up attacks are 7 random hits, and let's say there's only one enemy which is weak to imaginary, then these Aventurine's follow-up attacks will reduce the toughness of that enemy by a lot. And if you break an enemy's weakness a lot, the battle will be way different than before, as you saw. Now let's try it, or shall I say, let's use the same team, but without without breaking any enemy's weakness, and instead letting them attack us. It is not impossible that a teammate can still get as CC'd basically even with a strange shield. Because
Hedge your bets. It's on me.
Engage. Not too fast. Feeling a little dizzy?
I'll go easy this time.
let's see the effect resistance of each unit. For Dan Hang Aventurine it's 50. Wow, so he has 0 effect resistance. Okay, effect resistance of Sparkle 98.9. Damn. Okay, I think there's something wrong with here. Effect resistance 50%. Nah, I'm pretty sure he has effect resistance. Of Aventurine is 95. Rome is 65.
The strength.
Some value as existence is unity.
Let's play for a while.
Spend freely.
Enjoying yourself?
Ready? No dirty tricks. Sure, I'll play. It's on me. Watch your head.
Something for everybody.
You sit me?
Hedge your bets. Spend freely.
Not too fast.
Watch your head. The dice have been cast.
As you can see, Danhagi Aventurine and Rowan Me's effect resistance are on the low side, because if you remove Aventurine's 50% effect resistance, their effect resistance become for her 15 and for Danhagi Aventurine 0, which is insane that he has 0 effect resistance.
It's on me.
Unscathed. Engage. Zone out. I can do it.
Can you find the answer? You sit me?
Sure, I'll play along. Spend freely.
The strength.
Let's play for a while.
It's on me.
There's more to life.
Watch your head. The dice have been cast. Bust. Or maybe I'll take it off.
Ready. Something for everybody.
You sit me?
Spend freely.
Can you find the answer?
Some value, I suppose.
Sense a storm.
It's on me.
There's more to life.
Not so fast. How does that feel?
Hedge your bets. Spend freely. The dice have been cast. Bust. Or maybe I'll take it off. Watch your head.
I'll go easy this time. You sit me?
It's on me.
Zone out. I can do it.
maybe I'll take you. Watch your head.
Grace and elegance.
Strength. Sure, I'll play what's on me. Hedge your bets. Spend freely.
Ready up. Something for everybody.
Watch your head. The dice have been cast. Bust. Or maybe I'll take you. Sure, it's on me.
Not so fast. How does that feel?
Let's play for a while.
There's more to life.
Retreat.
Watch your head. Hedge your bet. Spend freely.
Can you find the answer?
The right economy music on Aventurine is this one, which was on Fu Xuan during the previous run. So to be honest, I know what. Let's try it on auto.
You have 10 seconds.
All will be swept away by the wind.
One.
World cleansing dragon.
To be honest, there's one. To be honest, to be frank with you, I didn't think I would learn something from this video, and for me, it is make Danhang able to get some effect resistance, because damn, he has zero. He has zero effect resistance. Like damn.
Can you find the answer?
World cleansing dragon.
All will be swept away by the wind.
Spend freely.
To be honest, I also love how this video was basically a showcase of Fu Xuan. To be honest, I wanted this video to be a showcase of Fu Xuan, but I feel like it's a showcase of like how good Aventurine is. Or should I say how bet? Or should I say why is Aventurine better than Fu Xuan?
World cleansing dragon.
There's also something I forgot about Fu Xuan, which she has an advantage over Aventurine, but it's not general. It's for specific units, just like with Aventurine with full up attack units. If you have units which basically are either health dependent, like sorry, not health dependent, but they need to take damage in order for the damage to increase. Basically, like Blade, like Aventurine with Blade, I heard it's terrible. So if you're using Blade, Aventurine wouldn't be good, to be frank with you. For Xuan, on the contrary, would be very good, because she will increase Blade's max HP and reduce the damage taken by him. Which will make less of a chance for Blade to get one shot, basically. Also, if you have Zingliu's signature light cone, its effect basically says when an ally, excluding the warrior, gets attacked or loses HP. So let's say you have Fu Xuan Z active, and any other unit other than Zingliu and Fu Xuan gets attacked, Fu Xuan will also lose HP. So this effect will happen twice. It should happen twice, because the unit which got attacked and Fu Xuan, thanks to her skill, both of them will lose HP. So this this basically stack, instead of getting one stack, 2 stacks or shall I say whoever uses this light cone will gain 2 stacks instead of 1. Supposedly, I don't know if that's true or not. To be honest, I didn't try it. I didn't try it, but it makes sense. It will be easier to gain max stacks, which will make it easier to gain the damage bonus increase and the defense ignore from the signature light cone. If you are getting, if you plan to get Fu Xuan only for that reason, for like Ringlow's signature light cone, then make sure to go for Reddit and ask people if that's the case or not. From my experience, if you are wondering which one, like if you're saving only for one, and if you're wondering which one you should summon for, I would say Aventurine. For me, on my account, as you can see, I don't use any follow-up attack units. To be honest, for Himiko, I only use her on Biofiction, and the same thing goes for Herta as well. I only use these two in Biofiction, but in the general world or Memory of Chaos, I don't use any follow-up attack units. So even if you're not using any follow-up attack units, Aventurine will be a useful value to you. Personally, from experience, I would say go for Aventurine over Fu Xuan. And I am saying this as someone who used the Fu Xuan for the longest, for like every single day since I got her. I've used her every single day. But for me, like Aventurine is better. If you plan to summon for Fu Xuan, like maybe because of how she looks, maybe you like how she looks, or you like her personality, or her the whole crit rate buff, or her kit. Whichever unit you like the most to go for. Even if it was Arlen, which is the worst, the worst unit in Honkai story. I presume, I don't know if that's true or not. So yeah, that's about it for Aventurine. I would say Aventurine is better than Fu Xuan. So to be honest, if you can get if you don't have Luoza or Hua like me, and like you want to get boss, and like these two will make your life much easier. So if you can get boss, and if you don't have Luoza or Hua or any healer sustainer, then try to get these two. They will make your life much easier, man. Because if you have these two in the team, you can focus more on your DPS unit, your support unit, without worrying of them getting killed. And I presume these two will definitely help in the new game mode, which is end game mode, apocalyptic something. There's an issue, like the previous banner is Aventurine's banner, so I don't know like, when will his rerun will be. It will probably be a long time from now. So if you can't wait for Aventurine, and like I said, if you don't have Fu Xuan, if you don't have Hua or Luoza, then Fu Xuan will be a good addition to your team. Because like I said, because in Memory of Chaos there are two teams. So one is Fu Xuan, the other is Aventurine or whatever sustainers you have left. But if you can wait, and if you can use like 4 stars like Natasha, Mars, Lynx, and wait until Aventurine gets its run and escape Fu Xuan, then you do you. It's your account. You do whatever you want. And that's about it. If I forgot anything, tell me in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing and liking the video. A lot of people who are watching aren't subscribed to my YouTube channel, so please subscribe. It helps the channel and motivates me to make more videos. Thank you for watching, and have a blessed day, everyone. I wish you good luck on your summons if you're planning to summon for Fu Xuan or Light Cone or both of them. And yeah, Boot Hill, because Fu Xuan's rerun is coming with Boot Hill. See you in the next video.